Hello, everyone. Here we are in the final week of organizational behavior. And this week, I only want to make a few comments. This won't be, hopefully, not lengthy. The first thing I want to say has to do with your applied summary paper. Let me encourage you to look at the rubric on which your paper will be graded. The applied summary paper is exactly what it says in the title, applied. I don't want a running summary of all the topics that we have studied in organizational behavior. Now, you'll notice that in the choices that you have to the things that you have to write about, there are many concepts that are involved sometimes. And it's important that you show how you have applied those concepts. So here's what I want you to do. First of all, look at the learning outcomes. Go to the syllabus. The first page of the syllabus has the learning outcomes listed. Those are the things that were that are the essentials to be covered in the course through the textbook reading, through the videos, through the discussion, through the papers that you do. After you look at those learning outcomes, then go to the rubric that will be used to grade your applied summary paper so that you understand all the categories that are important there. And then finally, look at the assignment description and choose one of those areas that you will write about. This paper is a very it's an important paper because it's an opportunity for you to begin to pull together all the different threads that we have been discussing in the course and figure out what are the pieces that have been the most helpful, the most useful for you in application to your workplace or to your concept of what a manager ought to do. This is a difficult paper to write. It will. I will be. Um, I will be looking for everything that's on that rubric. You should by now know how to do your your citations, and I will expect citations. This is not a research paper, so you don't have to go beyond what we've beyond the textbook. Of course, you can bring in the TED Talks that you've listened to, the textbook material. This is not asking you to go beyond those things, but you can bring in other resources. So work hard on that. It's going to take some time to think about. Don't That paper cannot be rushed. And for those of you who have difficulty formatting the title pages, there is a template on Foxtail under the APA resources. Use the template. The second thing I want to mention has to do with the topics that you'll be reading about in the textbook, politics and organizational culture. I should say power and politics. And the assumption is that power is a negative thing, and it can be. And the adage that power corrupts is absolutely true. However, remember that we all have a measure of power, and learning how to understand power, how to use power in a way that benefits all people involved is what a good manager is about. Because a good manager is a person of character, and character and ethics go together. So, power without ethics, power with a flawed character, of course, are detrimental. But power is something that you need in order to even go through your daily life. We all have a measure of power, and if we give away that power, then we become victims. So power is important. Power is important in the sense of, as a manager, you will use your power as a manager or leader. You will use your power to establish a culture, on the culture of where your workplace, perhaps even your area. But also think in terms of organizational culture. Think about when some of you in your performance review papers talked about how you moved from one organization to another and found it much better to work for because the culture had to do with there was in place, for example, performance reviews in a certain way they were established. Whenever you think about changing jobs or moving to a different organization, one of the things that you need to look at is the organizational culture. Culture, in this case, can simply be defined the way we do things here. The way we do things here. Look at an the organization's culture in the sense of how do they do things? Is there integrity? Is there authenticity? Is there a sense of trust? Those things that you learned about in the last um, TED Talk. So those are the things that you'll be dealing with in the last week of this course. They are all very important. Uh, and though we don't have a great deal of discussion around some of those topics, I hope that you will read carefully those chapters in the textbook. If you have any questions about your applied summary paper, be sure and let me know. And remember, let me underscore that again. This is about applying, taking what you have learned over the last 5 weeks, and how have you applied them. Remember that you will need to use the concepts, the language from our textbook, from what we've been talking about. So this is not just, I think, this type of paper, but the application and the demonstration of the mastery that you have over the concepts that we have been studying. This is a paper that I read extremely carefully. I read all your papers carefully, but this one requires more of me than the others. And so do your hard work of making sure that it is uh, worthy of showing to your boss. That is the criteria. Is this a paper that is worthy of showing to your boss or a potential employer? Okay, that's all for now. I hope that you get a chance to pull it all together and that you enjoy the process. And I will be talking to you in our um, next course, Leadership Communication. Until then, see you later.